Every year, the best-selling rackets are those used by the top 4 players in the world, but are they really that good? So today I'm gonna compare Tapia's Nox AT10 18K, Arturo's HEAD Coello Pro, Galán's adidas Metalbone HRD, and Lebrón Babolat VIPER. What do they have in common? Which one is my favorite? Well, let's find out. Hello all players, I'm Pablo and I welcome you to a new 4Set. I've got 4 very different rackets here, but they also share a few similarities. Actually, they're all set up the same way. I remove the factory overgrip and add 2 overgrips. But what is the biggest similarity? Well, 3 out of the 4 have a diamond shape, and you can feel that in the balance. The only hybrid shape is the Tapia's AT10, which also happens to have the lowest balance points, 25.2 centimeters. Meanwhile, the Metalbone and the VIPER both come in 26.5 centimeters, but there's a twist. Because the Metalbone lets you customize the weight using the screws it comes with. It is true that I was lazy and left the screws as they come by default. That means the extra weight is in the lower part to reduce the balance. But if you want, like Galán does sometimes, you could move all the weight up to the top and raise the balance from 26.5 to over 27. Lastly, the HEAD Coello Pro has the highest balance at 27.5 centimeters, and trust me, you feel it. Especially because it's the toughest to move on court. But now, if we're talking about balance, we also need to talk about weight, because this is just as important as we got some similarities here too. So with my setup, the Coello Pro and the AT10 both weigh 366 grams. But look, because same weight, but there's a 2.3 centimeters difference in balance that means a lot. And also means that the Coello Pro feels way more head heavy than the AT10, harder to swing, and more physically demanding. The Metalbone, even with all the screws, weighs 370 and the VIPER is the heaviest at 375. And that matters because even though the VIPER and the Metalbone have the same balance, the VIPER's heavier. But weirdly, it actually feels the opposite. The VIPER moves better. Another similarity across all 4 rackets is the type of rough surface the brands chose. They all use the 3D roughness, which happens to be my least favorite. It is true that the AT10 does have 3D roughness on the Nox logo and a sandy finish elsewhere, but 90% of the times you're hitting with the AT10, you will hit this 3D zone. What are the good news about this? Well, 3D roughness lasts longer. And what about the bad? Well, none of them give you much grip on the ball, if I'm honest. And I actually find it surprising that all 4 brands fall short on something so basic. But another key similarity is the grip, and this is really important. The AT10 and Coello have the same grip length, 12 centimeters, while the Metalbone and VIPER both have what I consider the perfect length, 13. And what about the wrist cords? Well, my favorite one is on the Coello, that is a basic rope knot style, simple but effective. The Metalbone has my least favorite, just a standard cord that even comes out from the side of the cap, which can be annoying. And both the AT10 and the VIPER have interchangeable, more premium wrist straps. One more detail that is key for me is the shape of the back cap, and unfortunately for me only one has a round cap, the VIPER, because the AT10, Coello and Metalbone all use an octagonal cap, which I don't like it as much. So well, those are the main similarities, but there are way more differences. And let's start with the most important: carbon fiber types, foam and hardness. Because not a single racket shares the same combo and you can really feel it. Starting with carbon fiber, both the AT10 and Metalbone use aluminized carbon, which is the most temperature resistant. Tapia's racket uses 18K while Galán uses 16K. The Coello Pro is the only one that is not 100% carbon fiber because it's a mix with fiberglass. And the VIPER, while Babolat doesn't officially say it, is likely made with 3K carbon based on previous VIPER models. And the foam is also totally different in each racket. The AT10 is the only one that uses dual density foam, a hard, medium, hard sandwich. That means it behaves differently depending on how hard you hit. For example, on soft hits, you get more control and less ball output because the hard layers kick it. But on powerful shots, you get extra power thanks to the medium density layer helping with ball output. The VIPER and Coello Pro both use the hardest foam their brands offer, and to me, as you will see in a bit, the VIPER's foam feels even harder than Coello's. The Metalbone HRD also uses Adidas' hardest foam, but it's still a lot softer than the others. So let's see how all these differences in carbon and foam actually affect ball output. As you can see, the Metalbone has the most ball output while the VIPER has the least. That means in defense, the Metalbone makes it easiest to return the ball. Meanwhile, the VIPER gives you the most control. And can you really feel the difference in hardness? Absolutely. And if you don't believe me, look how much the Metalbone sinks under pressure compared to the others. The Coello and VIPER barely compress because they're definitely the hardest. And let's go for one more test, the sound. So listen to how all 4 rackets sound and judge for yourself. Metalbone HRD, Babolat VIPER Juan Lebrón, HEAD Coello Pro, Nox AT10 18K. And Pablo, what else set them apart? Well, the AT10 is the only one with air channels for better maneuverability. And honestly, I don't know if it's the air channels or the low balance or what, but it's by far the easiest to swing and the less tiring. The Coello is the only one that comes with a built-in frame protector. Also, both the Coello and the VIPER use variable hole diameters. As you can see on the Coello, the smaller holes are in the center, making it stiffer. And here is probably the biggest difference of all, the price. But first, remember that with the code 4Set at Padel Market, you get 10% off of the entire site, worldwide shipping, and you support the channel. The Coello is the cheapest at $283, followed by the AT10 at $323, the VIPER at $342, and the Metalbone at $350. But enough theory, Pablo, please. Let's get to the real deal. Do these differences actually show up on court? Where they really need to perform is up at the net, so is one better than the others? Well, in volleys, there's something for every taste. No doubt, the Metalbone gives you the most ball output. You can add tons of speed with minimal effort. That feels great, but you do lose quite a bit of control. The AT10 is the lightest feeling, most agile, and gives you the most spin potential. The Coello and the VIPER are super similar. Once you get used to their feel, they are like Ferraris. Because the volleys are insane, but there's a catch, because the Coello demands more from you. The faster you move, the more energy it drains. The VIPER, on the other hand, despite being the heaviest, feels surprisingly easy to move because it's all in the weight distribution. And same story for bandejas and víboras. The best all-round performer for effort, control, and ball output, the VIPER. The AT10 gives you more agility and spin, but falls just a bit short in power. The Metalbone is the easiest to hit hard with, but it's also the easiest to lose control with, because that trampoline effect is real and it took me a while to get used to it. So personally, I prefer the VIPER, where I know I need to generate the power myself and the racket just gives me full control. The Metalbone adds too many variables on the equation, so it can help some people, but I honestly like to feel fully in charge of my shots. And the Coello once again feels physically demanding, because you can hit 5 solid víboras but lasting a whole match. Well, that's not for everyone. That said, you can tell this racket was made for overhead shots, because when it comes to smashes, what happened? That the Coello Pro is the king, is the most powerful racket out the fort. Push it to the limit and the materials will deliver. Close behind is the VIPER, more comfortable for smashing thanks to its longer grip and easier handle, and because it's truly a hard racket, you get the best out of it when going for power. The AT10 is my favorite for smashes por tres, thanks to how fast you can swing it and the extra spin you get. It's not as powerful as the other two, but it's not that far off neither. And the Metalbone once again gives you the most performance with the least effort. But its top end performance is lower than the VIPER and Coello, because if you hit really hard with the Metalbone, the racket absorbs some of your power. But still, the Metalbone does get a point for the long grip, just like the VIPER. So well, Pablo, how would you sum up each racket? In my opinion, the AT10 is the all-round of the premium rackets, the most balanced of the four with the fewest weaknesses. If you're looking for comfort and high performance, this is your racket. The Coello Pro is the wildest. It demands the most physically but gives you the most potential power, especially in smashes. In other areas, though, agility might be an issue. The VIPER is the hardest of the four, and if you like that feel, it's amazing. You feel totally in control and it's super powerful in smashes while still being easy to maneuver. The Metalbone HRD has the most ball output and is the softest of the four. If you want a power racket that is easy to use, this is it. You will get a lot with little effort, but just be careful not to lose control. So what other comparison would you like to see on the channel? Remember code 4Set on Padel Market, and thank you so much for watching the video. See you in the next one. Ciao!